Hey YouTube, here is part 3 of the movable Glock holster rebuild project. To recap, I have this WeTech Airsoft Gen 4 G19 Airsoft pistol, which would not fit into an existing line of hardshell holsters from SciTac. However, I had a number of accessories such as this MOLLE attachment for my SciTac holsters, so I could put it onto a leg rig. My movable Glock holster only came with this belt paddle attachment. As you can see, the rosette size and style are different between SciTac and this generic brand out of China, so they're obviously not compatible. I made a design in Fusion 360 and simulated to confirm that the strength would be sufficient for my application with this rosette on this style geometry. And as you can see, I already have it installed on my MOLLE leg paddle. You'll note that there are two zip ties here. These are, while they are there for strength, it's also a fault of this MOLLE panel where it tends to compress on this axis, causing the MOLLE to slip out of the top row. I've had this issue before with the SciTac style MOLLE attachment, and I've used the zip ties before to rectify that. So these are really here for making sure it doesn't fall out of the MOLLE. As you can see, I've already installed it though. It was pretty much perfect. The rigidity is very good. It does not flex much at all. In fact, it was actually a little too rigid. You'll note here there's just a little bit of flexibility to squeeze these two tabs together to squeeze it into MOLLE. I think I actually popped open a stitch or two on this side when I was inserting the MOLLE wings here. So my next design is probably going to reduce the amount of material here and maybe just add a ridge or a little indentation here so I can get away with the rigidity in this axis while still remaining flexible on this axis. Regardless, this holster ever so easily slots in, and you can see how it wants to stay aligned. And if I just use this Allen key, of course it's going to be more difficult on camera, and just fasten this in. Of course it's going to be difficult. There we go. It definitely does not want to go anywhere. I'm sooner going to break this holster than I am going to my 3D printed attachment. So I'll qualify this as a success, mostly. Because I upgraded the strength of that, and now it's lower on my leg, I actually did some testing with this already, and did some sprints, and I found that because this is moving around so much down on the leg versus how it was set up on my belt, this holster actually has a flaw, a weakness in it. And also, just for safety, I'll show magazine out, and the chamber is clear. So, when you insert this, it seems to lock in fairly securely, right? However, it seems to want to release a little bit prematurely without pushing this button. If you observe carefully, it actually pushes this button up. So there's a couple issues. One, the spring underneath this button may not be sufficient. But to make matters worse, it's engaging with this takedown lever on the Glock, which will eventually wear it down. I might try and find a better one, but I don't know because the width of this seems to be fairly critical. And the G19 Gen 4 from WeTech is a little bit wider. That's why it wouldn't fit in existing holsters already. The depth of the pin from here engaging with the takedown lever from the pistol seems to be an issue. Even if that wasn't, if you apply force in this direction, you can actually get it to pop out like that, which immediately frees it. So if you're moving back and forth rapidly and you're applying load in this direction, which is only going to be exacerbated with a metal magazine here, it'll rock its way out and it'll slide up and out. So what I really need to do is design an add-on component here because it's easier than redesigning the entire shell of the holster. I just need to add a little bit of force here to reduce the amount of flex, and at least that limits how far this can travel out in this direction. I barely need to squeeze onto this to resolve that issue. This should be a fairly simple component that I can design and just add on, and if I'm satisfied I just glue it on with epoxy and just call it done for good. However, I'm pretty satisfied with the underlying MOLLE attachment. It's pretty rigid, it doesn't want to go anywhere, it does exactly what it's designed to do, so I'm going to qualify this first stage as a success and work on the next weak link in the chain so I can kind of get my system perfect to how I want it. You know what, in 3 or 4 years when HP comes out with more materials, they may be able to color this a tan color, because they're working on adding different ink jettable materials as modifiers. They already do this with a detailing agent and a fusing agent jetted onto the nylon powder to get it to fuse with great surface finish. However, if they can add color, it may actually be worth redesigning the entire system so I can make this, with some modifications, in whatever color I want to fit the holster pattern for the Glock perfectly. But until next time, please like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell down in the bottom corner of your window, because that's how the cursed YouTube algorithm works, if you want to stay tuned to cool little mini projects like this. So until next time, cheers!